Hi folks, so what I just want to illustrate today is how you can keep Classroom, Google Classroom, up to date from your local database, Sims or whatever MIS you use, without needing to pay for third-party tools. You can pay for third-party tools if you want to, but my problem with that is A, money, and B, the inflexibility that then locks you into. So you can't really do some of the things that you might, oh, it would be good if we could do that. If you do it yourself, if it's good, you can do kind of whatever you want. So this relies on you using GAM, the command line tool for G Suite. I've got that running on a virtual machine here, and I have this running 24/7, and it runs scheduled tasks, and it runs on one of our servers, and it looks after scheduled tasks for an entire trust of schools. So getting on now for 10,000 users and 20 odd schools and other organizations. So it's not just one school we're talking about here. So what I do is I make the Google Classrooms using GAM in the summer holidays. It doesn't take very long. It's just a couple of reports that you run from your MIS. I've previously documented this. I'll put that in the blog post associated with this video. And populate the teachers, make the courses active so they've got their classes. And then I load it with students. And then I keep those students updated, and also the parents, but I've also blogged about how to do that separately, using just some scripts. So every day, I sync the classes every day. You could do it more frequently if you wanted to. I find every day is more than adequate. So this sheet here, this CSV file, it's called Hapara because we use Hapara Teacher Dashboard as well. But this does not require Hapara Teacher Dashboard. But this report here comes from our MIS, and it just automatically does this every so often, every day. This was at 5 past midnight. It's got a list of all the student in one column and what classes they take in the next column. So any one student may have, I don't know, 10 rows associated with them. So they have to have their G Suite username, fredblogs at your domain, and then next to it you need to have the class they take, and every one line for every class that they take. So that goes into that file on a schedule. Now I use some scripts to turn that into this file here. So you can see that one was made at 1:30 midnight. And that one runs some scripts that basically change the columns around, change the column headings, and change some of the symbols. And the reason I do that is because Hapara Teacher Dashboard requires some of the class names to be changed, because Sims has slashes in, and Hapara Teacher Dashboard creates a group. Group email address cannot have a slash in, it has to have a hyphen in. So some of these scripts here will change that class name into whatever I want it to be, and it will run it automatically. That's detailed in my previous blog post, and for what we're doing, it's not necessary. You don't need to do any of that. So we've got a list of here, a process list here with student email addresses and the classes that they take in the column next to it. So that's just a scheduled report. Inside this folder here, Classroom, what I've got is a PowerShell script. And if I edit that PowerShell script, I'll show you what it does. Basically, it's taking that file that I've made from my MIS, and it's basically taking out the double quotes. Now this is something that Sims produces, so you may find that this is not necessary at all. But Sims is a CSV file where you've got a double quote around every entry, comma, then double quote around every entry. What this bit here does is literally just changes that file and puts it into a form that doesn't have those double quotes in it. And there's a file here. That's the file after it's been processed. That's just, again, tidying up the output from Sims. That's literally all it's doing. This bit here runs a Python program. So you need to have Python version 3.7 installed on this computer, and you need to have the environment variable set so it can run the Python program. And the Python program is courtesy of my eldest son, who's a computer scientist, and he wrote this for me. And what this does is take this student CSV file here and turns it into a CSV file, one for every single class that exists on that CSV file, and puts everybody who belongs to that class into that CSV file. So each one of these CSV files that you see here, these are names of classes. There's a biology class, for example, in year 13. In that file, you've literally just got a clean list of student emails that belong to that class, and that's all that's in that file. So this little Python program takes what's in that students file and spits it out. So we just open up that, we'll edit with we'll give it a minute to think about. So this is the Python file program here. I can put you in touch with Robert, my son, if you want to know how it works. But basically this does some searches and matches students to classes as it reads off all the unique classes. So you run this as a scheduled task, and what it will do is take the output from Sims and turn it into a list of individual files for each class, which is just a list of email addresses for that class. What you need to do then, and you could combine these into one script if you wanted to, I just keep them separate because it's easier to sort of manage and know what's going on. I've got this one in my GAM XTD folder, and classroom file, this PowerShell script here. If I edit that, what this one does is imports a file called groups CSV, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then what it does is loop through every line in that, and it reads the group name, that's the ID of the classroom, and it loads the appropriate file. So there's a list for the name of the file in that CSV file, and it will sync it to that file. So you've got one script that you've got a schedule report that pulls your classroom data into a CSV file. You do a little bit of post-processing on that CSV file, then you split that into individual files, and then you loop through each one of those files and you sync it to classroom. Kind of that's it. It's a bit flippant to say that that's it, but it's actually turned out not to be anywhere near as difficult as I thought it would be. If we have a look at that group CSV to see what it's going on, that is actually in the GAM directory, and it's that one there. So you can see what this looks like. So what it does is read this, which is the unique identification for the classroom, and it has the path to the CSV file there, which is just the name of the class. So what I've done is just created this in a spreadsheet where I've used the command GAM print courses to drive once I've created them, filter out just the courses that I want to sync. So I just get this information, and it takes a few seconds to get this information, and then based on the class name, okay, so that's the alias of the class there, well actually that bit there is the alias of the class. I just used a spreadsheet to make that path there because it's all the same. It's just that bit there is a path to where I just happen to have these files. You can have them wherever you want, and then I put in the alias of the class minus the hyphen 2012 bit and .csv there. And that's a static file. Unless you make a new class during the academic year, you never touch that. You make that once during the year and then just leave it there. It doesn't actually do anything. So you schedule this for after the other script runs. Give it 10 minutes. The other script literally takes a few seconds to run, to split that one CSV file into about 600 classes, individual files, and it will update those files every time it runs. And that's it. So you invest a little bit of time in doing something like this, you might save yourself, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of pounds a year on paying somebody else to do it for you. And you can obviously tweak this however you want. So if you just want to ad hoc add a member of staff to a particular class for a month, well, you can do that. It's not a big deal. So GAM gives you total control of your Google Classrooms. So yeah, give it a go. It's the way to go from my point of view.